Welcome back, fashion friends. Scarves might be the easiest way to elevate your style game. So in today's video, we're diving into the world of how to tie a scarf with over 20 elegant and creative ways to tie a scarf. Whether you're looking to add a pop of color to your outfit, create a chic scarf top, or simply learn how to wear a scarf stylishly for everyday looks, silk scarves like this Louis Vuitton scarf are an easy way to transform any look, and this ultimate guide has got you covered for all seasons. I'm walking you through my favorite techniques, tips, and tricks I've picked up along the way. So grab your favorite scarf and save this video for whenever you want to try something new. Okay, let's get started on mastering these stylish techniques. But first, hit that subscribe button below. It really helps me out. Now, some of these ways to tie a scarf look better with larger or smaller scarves, which I'll talk through as we go. And yes, I still have the really long, annoying tags on mine because it does help your resale value later on if you ever go to sell it. Okay, let's start with the easiest one, the triangle top. You're going to take your scarf and fold it in half diagonally so that the print is on the outside. Then with the pointed side facing down, you're going to wrap that around your body. Now, I don't normally wear anything underneath this, but I am wearing a little strapless top underneath this just so I'm not naked for you. And then you just tie it at the back, however tight you want it so that it stays up. You could also wear a strapless bra underneath this, but for the most seamless look, it's best if you just wear your scarf on its own. Now, if this is too long for you and you want it shorter, you can simply roll it to the desired length. And that way you can make it as long or short as you want. It actually looks really cute, super cropped. If you want to make it a little bit smarter, a blazer is a super easy addition for a smart casual look, for more coverage. Maybe your shoulders are burning, and I would wear this either with white shorts, black shorts, or even white or black pants. If you want to create more of a waistline with this look, you can always add a skinny belt, preferably in a color that's complementary to your scarf top. And if you don't like that point hanging down, you can always tuck it in and create more of that strapless bodysuit or tube top kind of a look. For colder months or just to change it up, try layering it over a button-down shirt. Okay, this one shoulder scarf top is probably one of the more complicated styles, but honestly, once you get it, it's quite easy. So be sure to save this video to make it easy to come back to. So you're going to start with that same triangle we did in the last few looks. And it's definitely easier to start with a bra or a strapless top to hold your scarf in position when you do this. So that first tuck, I'm putting in one of the corners and making sure I have enough material to tie later. And then I'm creating an uneven knot at the back, one short end, one long end. You want one end a lot longer because that's going to turn into your shoulder strap with the material that you tucked in the front. That's why it's really important to have put enough material in there. It might take a bit of fiddling around with to make sure you have the right length. Once you get it down, it's really easy. And then you're simply going to knot the top. Now, I still have the tags on my scarf. You might find it easier to take it off. I tend to keep my tags on everything just because it's better for resale value later if I ever want to sell it. And then I just tuck in the tags to hide those, and then I pull the bandeau down and off and step out of it so that the back has that really beautiful backless look. Okay, another scarf top idea for you. I'm all about cost per wear and getting the most wear out of these, and I just think scarf tops are so cute. So again, starting with that triangle, but this time you're going to put the point up and use a scarf ring. Now, I got my gold round scarf ring off Amazon, so it's up to you whether you go designer or luxe for less. You're then going to pull enough through to be able to knot it behind your neck, trying not to get your hair caught in it, and do a knot. Now, I probably made my knot a bit small, but the smaller you make that, the more material you have to play with as a top. So fiddle around with it, do what works for you. Then it's really just simply a case of pulling that straight. You can even roll it under if you want a shorter length or have it longer if you want more coverage, and knot it at the back again. Be really careful with your nails if you have nails. Same with your scarf ring. When you're working with something as delicate as a silk scarf, the last thing you want to do is put runs or pulls in them. And again, for anyone who's skipping chapters and didn't hear this before, I never wear anything under my silk scarf tops. I'm purely wearing this so I'm not naked while I'm demoing how to do this. This is possibly my favorite way to tie a scarf top, and it's a necklace scarf top. You're going to want to start with a pretty heavyweight chunky chain so it can take the weight of the scarf, even though the scarf's light, and one that's smooth and not going to snag your scarf. You're going to start with that triangle, but only thread one end through and then tie it in a knot to the opposite end of the triangle. You're going to want to make this knot as small as possible. That way it's much easier to hide and less bulky when you tuck it behind. And then how much you roll it or don't roll it will depend on the size of the scarf you have, whether you want it cropped or full length, and then you're going to knot it behind. Now, I don't wear anything under mine, but you could always use nipple cover-ups if your scarf is too thin, light, or sheer. That's it. And I think this is such a cute style that's a lot dressier than the other ones. Okay, onto headscarves. For this one, you might not want to use your favorite designer scarf for this, or at least if you do, make sure it's very easy to wash because your makeup and skincare is going to get all over this, which is why I have no makeup on for this tutorial. So for the first one, you're going to start with that triangle again. I recommend starting with it further forward than you want to finish up with it because it's easier to slip it back than to pull it forward after you've tied it. So you're going to start by knotting it under your hair. And you're going to pull that as tight as you want. This is when you can readjust the front of it if you want. And then you're going to take those two loose ends and knot them over the top. I recommend trying to do this pretty tight so it doesn't slip. Now, headscarves can be really hard to pull off. They always look so good when you see them on Instagram. Don't get frustrated when you try this the first time. They do take some playing around with, and yes, they probably do look a lot better with makeup on. For the next hairscarf idea, this is so much easier to roll on a table or a bed. You're just going to roll your scarf as tight as possible, otherwise it ends up a bit too wide. And then to hide that little triangle point, you're just going to put that underneath and towards the back. I tend to start with this again far forward because it's going to slip back. Start tying it, just tie it once, and then I will readjust it at the front to where I want because when it's covering your ears, it's going to be too loose when you slip it back. Readjust, tie. I find it so much easier to finish the knot with my hair flipped forward so it doesn't all get knotted in that scarf. And then you can just style your hair as you want around your new headband scarf. And if you find it starts to slip, if it's satin or silk, you can always use bobby pins to hold it in place. This hair scarf idea works a lot better with a smaller scarf. This is the 90 and it's way too big. It ends up very, very bulky. But basically, you're going to roll your scarf as small and tight as possible. Then grab any old headband and tie one end of the scarf onto one end of the headband. Then it's just a case of wrapping as tightly as you can the scarf around it. This is why I'm saying the 90 square is way too big, so it ends up too bulky. Tie the last end off. It really doesn't matter if there's a little bit sticking out on the end because that's going to get hidden behind your hair. Pop it on. See, it's a little bit bulky and extra, but you get the idea of how to do a scarf headband. Okay, on to some of the most common ways we always think about when wearing a scarf, and that's a neck scarf. So for this one, you're going to take your square, start with a triangle, and put it back to front around your neck so the point of the triangle is at the front. Grab those loose ends. We're going to do two different looks with this one. The first one you're going to need a scarf ring for. This one's just a cheapie from Amazon. You're just going to pull the ends through there and you can make it as long or as short as you want. It's just like a really cool way to wear it. Almost feels a little bit cowgirl-ish, and it's also a really good way of keeping your neck warm. This looks really good under a blazer. If you don't have a scarf ring, obviously you can just tie it. The other way to do this is to tie it underneath rather than on top. If you still have the tag on like I do, you can just tuck that into the knot to hide it so it's not dangling out and adjust it as you want. If you're wondering how to tie a scarf for a very classic look around your neck, this is probably one of the most classic ways. Now, obviously you can just drape it around your neck, but if you want it to look slightly neater, follow this really easy folding technique where you fold the scarf 4 times so you just have a really even oblong. Drape it around your neck and then grab your scarf ring. You're going to pull it on from the bottom, and again, it doesn't really matter how tight or how loose you put it, totally up to you. A scarf ring is a really handy tool to have to be able to tie your scarf more ways, but there is still a ton of ways if you don't have one. Like this one where you can start with your oblong again and then just do a half knot, leave it loose, put it to the front, side, wherever you think looks best. You can also complete that knot if you're worried about it slipping undone or if you just prefer that aesthetic. Especially if you have a long scarf, sometimes putting it in a knot instead of just that half knot makes it sit at a better length. And again, put that wherever you like. I kind of like for most of these knotted styles to have it to the side and then one of the loose ends forward and one of the loose ends back, but good luck with it staying like that. And then the other way you can do this, if you want something really, really girly and feminine, to do a bow. You are going to need very different lengths. So you want one end short, one end longer so that you end up with those two even ends, and then just play around with it, puff it out, make it whatever shape you want. Do not like it in the center, but you do you. I definitely prefer it to the side like I did with the other style. I love this look, but there is a knack to getting it to stay in place, and it's definitely not one you're going to be dancing around in. So back to our trusted triangle. You're going to want to keep the scarf even and tuck it through the front and back of the belt, pulling it taut. Now, yes, it looks good like this, but it's very, very difficult to keep in place. So a little trick I've found that works the best is to take the top of the scarf and tuck it into that strap. To make it even more secure, be very careful if you use a safety pin, you don't damage the fabric if it's silk or something more delicate, or use double-sided tape to really help keep it in place. Okay, on to our last few ways of how to tie a scarf. One is by tying it again in that triangle around your waist over a skirt to add a bit of interest, whether that's a color or a pattern. You can also do this obviously over swimwear as a sarong. And this is one of those styles that works equally well if you knot it or if you use your trusty scarf ring. I told you I'm all about the cost per wear. Okay, I give in. I'm cutting this tag off because it's stupidly long and annoying, and it's really hard to hide in all of these styles, and I really don't like the look of it hanging out. This way to tie a scarf works better with a twilly or a smaller scarf than the square 90. This is a bit bulky, but I just want to show you how you would do it. If you just loop it through one belt loop and tie a bow, it can be a really cute accessory. But like I said, this looks really bulky and ridiculous because it's so big, but you get the idea. Another way to tie it onto your belt loops, again, this works better with a twilly or a smaller scarf, is to thread it through your belt loops as a belt all the way around. As you can see with this, because it's so bulky, it's very, very hard to do. You shouldn't need to twist it if you're using a twilly or a smaller scarf. Anyway, once you've got it all the way back to the front, you can then either tie it in a knot, tie it in a bow, whatever floats your boat. And then last but not least is to tie it onto your handbag. Again, if you roll it up, if it's a big scarf, it works better. Do a cute little knot and you are good to go. Thanks so much for joining me on this stylish journey through lots of different ways to tie a scarf. I really hope you found some new techniques and scarf top ideas to elevate your wardrobe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. It really helps me out, and it also lets me know you want to see more content like this. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the comments, or what's your favorite way to tie a scarf. Until next time, stay stylish.